One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. I'm here at the 2018 American Football Coaches Association convention, and I'm joined by Coach Mark Dantonio. Coach Dantonio is currently the head coach at Michigan State University. Greetings, Coach. Thanks for joining us today.
No problem, Ty. Thanks for having us on. It's great to see you again.
Yes, sir. Now, Coach, you've been at Michigan State for 10 years now, is it?
Yeah, 11.
11 years.
11 years.
Of course, you were head coach at Cincinnati before that. You were defensive coordinator. Of course, I played for you at Michigan State when you were position coach. And the general makeup of how your teams play from when we were at Michigan State the first time and you were the head coach now, and it's discipline, toughness, and there's a family atmosphere about it. So since you become a head coach, how have you developed or really created and maintained that environment, the family as well as discipline and playing tough to the end of a game all the way through?
Yeah, it really starts with the family atmosphere. I think that's so critical. You've got to have a good locker room. You've got to have good chemistry. And if you have that, then everybody's a little bit more responsible to each other, I think. So that's players to coaches, coaches to coaches, and players to players. We've been very fortunate to have great stability and continuity on our coaching staff. So I think that's added a great deal to you have the same teacher in the same classroom for, 11 years. Dividends are paid with that. So that's been a big plus for us. But I think you start to break it down and you start to ask about relationships. And, to me, relationships are such a big part of this. And just like talking to you, you want to maintain a strong relationship, not just during those first 4 years or 5 years that they're in college, but for the rest of their life. And to do that, we've sort of maintained you got to be able to talk to each other and grow. You got to be able to trust each other. You've got to be able to have a commitment to each other as people. And that's really the foundation of what we've tried to build. Along the way, you got to get your degree, play great football, be a light for other people, be in the community, and we sort of feed off that. But there's a idea or a premise on our staff and in our program that everybody's a resource. So our players are resources, so you need to build into them. We're a resource for our players, so they need to build into us. We're a resource for each other. We need to build into each other. And really it just goes round and round like that. We critique what we do in every respect and try and improve in that area. So whether it's tackling or catching a football, or whether it's how we go about our winter workouts or our academic schedule or our off schedule, but whatever we're trying to do, we're trying to critique that and make it better. And we're never settling. We're always trying to move forward.
And I think about this, if you think about this in terms of the grander scale, in terms of organizational leadership, right, critiquing, do you guys do a form of critiquing each other even after a victory? Go back and look and say, we won, let's celebrate, but let's look at it and see how we can make sure and know the reasons why we won this game.
Yeah, there's we have a template basically of everything after a game, everything that we do, from how we travel to what went on in that process, to how we got ready for the game, to how we played the game, and how we came back from the game. Everything's critiqued, written out, offensively, defensively, special teams, and then from a program organizational standpoint, so that we get better, but hopefully we don't backslide. Now you're going to backslide sometimes, and then you've got to find the reasons for that and implement those. And we had a big bounce back year this year, and I think it was because of the things we just talked about.
Now, Coach, I know you have to run, so I'll ask this final question here. The family atmosphere, consistency, right? Your staff has been pretty consistent. Then you look over at Coach Izzo, and he's been there since, I think when I got there, he was only on year one.
Yeah.
And that was back in 96, so he's been there.
That's a long time.
Yeah, a long time. And that family atmosphere, which actually existed prior to your head coaching career, because we had that back when we were in the defensive backs room in the late 90s. We know it's a successful thing, and we know it works in terms of coaching and on teams and in organizations. Does that come from home, or is that something that comes from the coaches you worked for or with throughout your career?
That's come from my home, growing up. My dad was a coach and then a teacher and then an administrator. My mom was rock solid. And then when I got into college, my secondary coach at the University of South Carolina, treated us all like that. And so I sort of gravitated to that and said, hey, I want to coach. I want to be a coach like him. And so that's what I went about doing. And he really sort of impacted my life, Coach Evans. And he's passed now. But I've always tried to just be that guy that be hard on your guys, press them, discipline them, because I do think discipline is so important. But also sort of be there as a guy that they can come to and tell you their problems to, and try and help solve problems.
Let them know you love them, even though you're tough on them.
You love them. I mean, love is such a big part of all this. I mean, you can't be good at anything you do unless you love it. And I think that love is another word of saying great chemistry. Maybe it's just not as soft.
Well, I appreciate that, Coach. From the time when I was a young walk-on football player with an attitude, fresh out of Los Angeles, getting kicked out of practice, things like that, or actually being suspended for something I got in trouble for.
I can't remember that time.
Whatever it was, you took me under your wing, gave me the tough love, and you have always been there for me from day one when I moved back to Los Angeles to when I got on with the American Football Coaches Association until now where you're here and I'm working with D1 Ticker and doing this One Question podcast. You made sure you sat down and do it with me. So I really appreciate that, Coach.
Thanks, Ty. You've always been there. It goes both ways. I just keep saying that it goes both ways. And I've had coaching has been it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing for me throughout my life. You have an opportunity to touch a lot of people. Those people touch you back.
Right. Well, Coach, I definitely appreciate you joining me here on One Question.
Thanks. Go Green.
That was Coach Mark Dantonio. He's the head football coach at Michigan State University. And this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.